Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 185 of the Terminal City FC podcast, part of the Area 51 Sports Network. Josh Ray joined alongside Nathan Dirk as per usual, talking all things footy. So, as you've probably seen the tweet, we originally planned to do this on Monday, but as you know by now, we needed a few days to recover from the Whitecaps losing in the CONCACAF Champions Cup final to Cruz Azul. Not just losing, but absolutely getting destroyed by
Yeah,
Cruz
a loss in
Azul.
spectacular fashion.
Yeah, this is gonna be a tough podcast, and like this year we haven't really had any bad stuff to talk about with the Whitecaps, but this year by far, this game by far was the worst game of the season and the worst performances of the season by many players.
It's kind of funny because you think of all the excuses that could be used, right? They
Right.
only had a few days rest. They're the team that had to travel. They're playing on, an away stadium in front of away fans and all these things. But I mean, all those things and tired legs and all that, it really shouldn't come into effect at the very beginning of the game.
Yeah, and
What seemed to be getting them was just nerves. It felt like the occasion got to them.
yeah, the lights were too bright, and it
Yeah.
really. Franco Veselinovic told Christian Jack after the game, "We weren't ready for this game. They did not look ready at all. Nerves played a huge factor. Now I get the altitude and everything because the ball, when you're watching it on TV, it zips faster at altitude,
Yeah. And
and I
it
get the
travels.
travel.
Like if you kick a ball, 20 yards, it's going 30, right? But they've played in that stadium before. They
Yeah, they
did it not
beat
that long
Pumas.
ago against Pumas.
Yeah, so there really shouldn't be an excuse. And yeah, the moment was too big for them, and they didn't look ready. They looked so disjointed. They couldn't pass right, couldn't defend. No intensity at all, no press, like that controlled possession based game, out the window.
Unless you're Cruz Azul.
Yeah, Cruz Azul, yeah.
Cruz Azul's press, that press is what we've become accustomed to seeing from the Whitecaps, but it wasn't there for the team that we expected or that we would normally expect.
Yeah, but I mean, as we said last week, Cruz Azul played a very possession based game too, and they showed that. So a lot of credit goes to Cruz Azul. They proved why they're the best team in CONCACAF.
Yeah.
I mean, they have big spending power. They have great players. Sepulveda, of course, had
Golden
score a
Boot
brace.
again with the brace.
Of course, Caps killer Mateus Bogusz had to add more salt in the wound.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, losing the final. If they had lost on a last minute goal, like let's say it was like 1-1 or 2-2, and they lost in stoppage time, it would hurt. But it would have been nothing compared to this.
You know what? Even losing 1-0, 2-0, or 2-1, anything like that, it would have felt like a game.
Yeah,
This was, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was a one-sided slaughter.
it was a
The
massacre.
Whitecaps had zero shots, not just zero shots on target. They had zero shots throughout the whole game. They're the first team in the CONCACAF Champions Cup final to ever go with zero shots.
Yeah, zero shot attempts,
Yeah,
not on target attempts,
yeah.
which is unacceptable and pathetic.
In the first half, the only player that had fewer touches than Brian White was Jaden Nelson, which unfortunately that's pretty damning right there.
Yeah, I mean White was very isolated. Like on the first, and then the worst player on the pitch is someone who is usually the best player on the pitch for the Whitecaps.
That's very true.
Andres Kubis looked like a Sunday League player. No sugarcoating it.
The first two goals, poor passing
Very poor passing.
with him. I can't remember. I don't know if it was the third. I think it was the fourth goal where he slipped.
Yeah, he pulled a Steven Gerrard.
Yeah. And there was another one. I think out of the 5 goals, 4 of them you could attribute to mistakes or, things that happened on his watch.
Yeah, and just and Eddie Ocampo too. I really thought Laborda would have gotten the start, given both him and Adekube like to move up the pitch. Um,
There
Made
was a
of
lot of
mistakes.
questions in that starting lineup. It was the first time that back four had started a game together.
Yeah,
It was the first time that midfield
had
had
started a game.
started a game together. They've played with each other, through substitutions within games and whatnot. But to start games, two of your three lines are brand new.
Now,
do you experiment in a final?
Now, Sorensen has got a lot right this year, but he got that lineup wrong. And heading into the match, I thought, okay, maybe they want to start, on the front foot, get the first goal, go all on attack, but that just backfired so quickly.
I think I can understand Ocampo playing a little bit. I mean, he made his name in this tournament. This tournament was his coming out party in earlier matches. I was surprised to see JC Ngando.
Yes.
I was
surprised
Ralph to see Jason Ngando. I thought Ralph Priso would get the start.
Because for more defensive stability in that midfield. But instead you go with a guy who is more attacking. Ogando, is an 8, but that backfired as, Kubas wasn't himself, and the midfield just kept getting caved by Cruz Azul.
And you know what? Playing Ngando may have worked if Kubas played as the Kubas that we have come to recognize. And I mean, it sucks because it's a final, but you have to just chalk it off as a bad game on his part and hope that he forgets it. Let's just hope he has a very short memory of that match, shows up on the weekend, I guess not the weekend because he'll be gone on international duty, right?
Yeah. I don't think anything's been announced, but
nothing's been announced, but in all likelihood,
Kubas is like one of Paraguay's most important players. So
exactly. Let's hope that whenever he does come back, he comes back and he's the Kubas that we recognize.
I just,
we talked about whether or not we were going to do the podcast on Monday, and I said let's wait because I wanted to take time to just not answer from an emotional standpoint. And it was interesting because on X and Twitter or whatever the hell you want to call it, or Blue Sky and all the different ones, you saw the emotional response. I mean,
you got quite the response too.
Fire the head coach and the goalkeeper, and I was like, well, that makes no sense. I mean, who do you think got you here in the first place?
Yeah, let's fire the coach
got you here in MLS. I mean, it's just the emotional response is, I guess, to be expected, but I never feel the need to contribute to that, and that's why I wanted to wait a few days. But on the other side, I still can't find the positives of this particular match.
There was no
positives that I can find is this is the furthest that the Whitecaps have ever gone in this tournament. Yeah. So that's something. The Whitecaps showed themselves on an international stage. Forget this match, but they showed themselves in a positive light. I think they've done a lot for football or soccer in Canada. I think a lot of people, not just in Vancouver or British Columbia, were watching this team as they progressed. And you can even take that into a bigger picture, not just in Canada, but throughout MLS. Think about the number of responses that we got from people that we know throughout the league. Yep. That were saying, we're watching these games. We're watching the Vancouver Whitecaps. We wish it was our team that was competing, but we're watching the Whitecaps and we're rooting for them because we like what they're doing. We like their philosophy and what we see on the pitch. My hope is that you're going to see locally, because that's the only really measure that you and I will ever be able to truly notice, is that you're going to see kids wearing a few more Whitecap shirts rather than
I've already seen some
Inter Miami shirts or whatever they're wearing, walking down the street. And I think that's been the case.
Yeah, that's been the case. And we could, as I tweeted, we could sit here and talk about, it was a great run. I mean, the match against Monterrey, Pumas, and Inter Miami, but losing the final like this kind of scars it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's the fear is the scars, is what happens after this, because they're still doing really, really well in MLS. They're hoping to advance in Canadian Championship. We don't have to worry about the next game because it's in 17 months.
It's a billion years away.
Exactly, right? But you're hoping that this isn't going to affect MLS. This is still the team that has the most points per game. They're not top because, they have 2 games in hand against almost everyone else around them. But you don't want this to affect the morale of the group. This is still a very tight-knit group. It's a well-organized group. It's a group that plays well together on their day. And their day is usually every day. It just wasn't on the first.
And this stretch will make or break the Whitecaps season because up to 9 players, it's not confirmed yet, will be gone on international duty. A lot of Canadians and Americans will be gone for Gold Cup. So Sorensen has done a good job managing squad rotation. This is his biggest test as the Whitecaps head coach so far. So if the Whitecaps want to prove they're a serious team, prove they're one of the elites, they need to find ways to get points with these missing players down the stretch. Because if they struggle over the next few weeks, it's going to look ugly.
Yeah, and not only that, if I am right, I mean, they're coming up against Seattle next.
Yep, we'll preview that shortly.
Seattle's been doing well.
I mean, it's Seattle. You expect Seattle to do well.
Yeah, they've been doing well. So, right, it's funny that when you take a look at the schedule and you knew where, continental and international call-ups and where they're going to likely be, and they decided to put a derby match in the middle of this.
Yeah, which is just crazy.
Again, we can talk about MLS and deciding to schedule matches during international breaks. I know they say that they don't have room to put it anywhere else, but I'm sorry, you are the league that keeps adding teams. You have no one to blame but yourself.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
I'm sorry, there's no other league in the world that has this many teams, and you've got almost double the number of teams as other leagues. You do have double the teams as some other leagues out there. If you're looking at, like, say, the lowlands of Europe and whatnot.
And you have one, I believe MLS is one of the longer leagues.
Yeah.
I mean, it's given the playoff stretch to December, too, so there's ample windows. But it's their fault they keep adding these tournaments like Leagues Cup.
Yeah.
And so players getting called up, the White and Berhalter for the United States, and Berhalter was sorely missed in the final.
Yep.
For Canada,
that being said, I don't know how much of a difference he would have made, because as a team effort, you can't throw in one guy and all of a sudden the other 10 suddenly become phenomenal.
People would argue, we needed Ryan Gauld in this game. I don't know if he would have made a difference either, even though he is Ryan Gauld.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe some players can carry a team on their back, but that's
Gauld has carried this team on his back before.
He has.
So Nelson, Adekube, and Ahmed gone for Canada. Vite's been called up for Ecuador. Kuba's most definitely Paraguay, and Tate Johnson for the American under-20s. So the Whitecaps will have no left backs this weekend. Great. So they'll have to call one up from Whitecaps FC 2.
Jeez.
Actually, more than one, maybe 2.
Well, let's dig deep, right?
Maybe you and I could play left back.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I got a left foot, so why not?
I can run, but I don't have much stamina, so I don't know if that's a good idea.
Yeah, I have the left foot. I just don't have the knees anymore.
And I would probably tear my ACL on that turf.
I'd probably do it just walking onto it.
So, man, things are just getting tougher, and losing this final just it shouldn't. I mean, it hurts, but it really shouldn't be like the beginning of the end of this great Whitecap season. This should be we lost this final. It hurts. It's a blip, but we move forward and set our sights on MLS Cup and Canadian Championship.
You look at it as if the surprise is that the Whitecaps were in the final in the first place.
Yeah, right? No one expected this. No one expected the Whitecaps to be in the Supporters' Shield race.
No. So you take the positives wherever you can find them, and you try to remember those when you get slapped.
Yeah, and just again, Cruz Azul, what a team that is. Like they thoroughly deserved to win the game, like by far, and just the Whitecaps weren't ready. They look the nerves really got to them. This was their first major final together. Canadian Championship is a final, but it's nothing compared to
This is continental.
this.
It's something else entirely, right?
And honestly, though, it's just very fitting for Vancouver sports.
Well, I mean, you can almost argue for Canadian soccer. I mean, CF Montreal and Toronto, they've been in the same position before us, and
but they didn't get blown out. At least Toronto took it to penalties.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, Canucks lost the Stanley Cup final getting blown out too. Whitecaps, I mean, nobody's gonna want to remember this in Vancouver. And Vancouver's a sad sports city. Sure, the BC Lions have won 6 straight cups, but they haven't won one since 2011. And we lost our NBA team to Memphis. And it's still insulting that they wear the Vancouver Grizzlies jerseys every now and then.
Yeah.
So, did I think the Whitecaps would win the final?
No.
Yeah, but I didn't think it was likely. But did I think they get blown out? Nobody did.
No. I didn't think they were going to win. I knew it was going to be a massive uphill battle.
I remember I said penalties.
The team would show up.
Yeah, like it felt like team got stuck at the airport or on the plane.
Yeah,
or in the hotel. And I remember Hart wrote an article about like potential food poisoning because that's what happened to Columbus in their final last year. I don't know if that. Hopefully that didn't, come into fruition.
No, they had they sent someone down early to kind of secure all that stuff. They had hired a consultancy firm to talk to other MLS clubs about kind of what they had done playing, at higher levels of CONCACAF in Mexico and elsewhere to figure out what were best practices. So, I mean, they went in trying to mitigate any sort of
they did
CONCACAF behavior, but I think they forgot to worry about themselves a little bit.
Yeah, and I believe that firm is now their sleeve sponsor. Forgot what it's called, but
it's a legal firm. I was asking my wife about it because she is a paralegal. It's a big firm. They're a big
they're a big firm. I mean, they're big enough to get it to be a sleeve sponsor on an MLS team. So yeah, something like that. BLG, something like
something like that. She told me what it stands for. I can't remember.
And man, it's still painful to revisit because there's no positives from that game itself for the Whitecaps other than maybe Yohei Takaoka didn't make it worse because none of the goals were really his fault.
I know.
So honestly, that's why I'm.
And honestly, it's I was watching, and it was something that they actually mentioned in the broadcast is that he was actually doing pretty well with crosses coming into the box.
Oh, he looked ready for those crosses, but the team in front of him didn't look ready.
No.
So I guess if you want to find one positive, Takaoka.
Yeah, at least it wasn't.
He didn't make it worse, and he didn't give up any bad goals.
Yeah.
I mean, like that second goal, for example. No way he's stopping that one. No. Goalkeeper stopping that one. That was just a screamer.
Yeah.
And so it's time to move on and, use this as motivation, as fuel for, okay, we're not going to let this get to us. We're going to use this to motivate ourselves to do well in the league and can champ. So Seattle Sounders up next. They're coming to BC Place, Derby Day. Always love Derby Days, no matter what league in football. And you got to love Vancouver, Seattle. And Seattle's been doing pretty well, as Nathan mentioned. 7-5-5, 26 points. And they are coming off a 3-2 loss at home to Minnesota, which Tani Oluwaseyi scored a brace, I believe. Yeah, he did.
before that, I think they have been doing fairly decently. But yeah, with them in Minnesota, I believe are they tied on points?
Let me check the standings. No, Minnesota's 4 points ahead. They're tied with
Minnesota,
Portland though,
Minnesota's 4 points ahead. Okay.
and Seattle. They came here to Vancouver last year and just absolutely destroyed Vancouver 3-0.
Yeah.
If you remember, and I am worried about this game given the absentees, and I don't think Seattle has many absentees given this.
I was just wondering the same thing. I'd have to look it up. I'm not too sure
I'm
who
going to
Seattle's
look.
going to be missing to international call-ups, but you got to think that there's going to be a couple, right?
They have some injuries though. Morris has a hamstring injury apparently, and so does Yamar. And I'm just reading here, according to bsoccer.com, they're out until mid-June.
Mid-June.
I mean, those
Yeah,
are
I'm
key.
showing Seattle. Yeah, Morris, Kim Kihi,
Yeah,
Andrade, Areola
Yamar.
with a knee.
Jackson Reagan,
is
he may or may not play.
Yeah, but nothing to do with call-ups. In fact,
I'll look that up later. But I highly doubt there's many.
yeah, this is actually updated only through match day 17, so it'll get updated
As the days go
over time.
by.
Yeah,
And we all know how good Seattle are. Like, as I said off the top, you expect Seattle to be where they are.
yeah, no, it's very true.
And the Sounders, I'm just looking at their table here. 25 goals for, 22 goals against. So they can score goals, but this year they've kind of been a bit leakier, it seems.
Yeah, I mean
they're usually a strong defensive
average.
team.
Like they're average. I guess they're just they're winning games with low margins, losing games by bigger margins. So
yeah,
it works out in their favor.
And they too got shellacked by Cruz Azul, but in the round of 16.
Yeah,
but it was a 4-1, and looks like Morris won't be in the lineup. Got to be wary of Pedro de la Vega and Jesus Ferreira and Christian Roldan, and of course Albert Rusnak as well. And we all know the ageless wonder Stephen Fry, still one of the best goalkeepers in MLS.
Yeah.
And this is.
I am showing actually for Seattle. It looks like 3 players might get called up.
Who would they be?
Baker Whitting, USA U20s, Stuart Hawkins with USA U19s, but also who they just added, Di Rosario, who plays for Guyana.
Interesting.
Yeah, so he is the only one looks by a top, or kind of like the top side. Others are on youth.
Oh, yeah, and I think everyone else, other than the injured players, should be good.
Yeah,
to go, and Seattle. I mean, they can play a possession-based game too, and the one that's defensively structured. At times, they do have trouble scoring, but this year, not too much. But Morris out, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. Though Ferreira also has proven he can lead the line.
Very true. Yeah.
So, just
it's done
again.
Now it's just a matter of getting back in, right? Be hungry. Okay, to lose, this feels worse than any other loss. So get back in. And how do you do that? You got to perform.
Yeah, like the old Batman quote from the Nolan trilogy. Why do we fall? To get ourselves back up.
Right.
So, I mean, it's time for the deaf players to step up, like someone like Daniel Rios. Like, be that insurance or relief for Brian White.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And, I mean, Ralph Priestall, too. He's proven he can step up this year.
I think he
has.
In
the midfield. Other than the left back, the back line will remain the same. We'll have more information in the next few days. We'll get them.
Yeah.
once they don't train today, Thursday. Tomorrow they will start training.
Yeah.
So Sorensen will give some updates. And I'm sure we'll see some Whitecaps FC2 call-ups.
More likely than not. Yeah. Whether that's Thursday, the game's on Sunday, right?
Yeah, Sunday.
So
I
my
think.
guess is you probably won't see any call-ups until Friday.
Yeah, and oh man, like it's a daunting task. But all the call-ups gone on international duty, and the Whitecaps got burned by this when they lost to Chicago
Yeah.
at home. So, but motivation, and for deaf players to step up, and for Sorensen to adapt to this, and to put the best lineup he can put out.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see what that lineup looks like, because you got, it's not only left back, but you got to think the midfield has got quite a few holes as well, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you've got Priso, you've got Bearhalter, you've got Ngando,
and
but
you
you
got
have
Bodwell,
no depth, like,
other than
right?
Bodwell.
And
Other than
Badwell. Thank you. That's
Yeah.
true. You do have Bodwell. But you got to think someone's going to be called up just for the bench at least.
Yeah. And then forward, there's Rios, Sabi, Gall's still injured. It's probably Liam McKenzie will get another call up. He got one in the Chicago game and actually started.
Man, there's going to be a number. There's going to be a number of Whitecaps 2 players that will probably start.
Yeah.
Because also, I was taking a look in the list. Bovalina has been called up
For the Australian
U20, I believe,
U23s, I believe.
or maybe that's it. Maybe that's it.
Yeah, I think he's a bit older.
Yeah.
Uh,
U23. You're right. Yeah.
well, at right back, they're okay with Ocampo and Laborda. It's just left back.
Can Laborda?
I think Laborda had
No, Ocampo had
Ocampo.
played. He's gone on to the left before.
That
I
was in
didn't
a
like
substitute
it.
role.
But I remember he has gone to the left.
Unless Sorensen doesn't want to wants to play a WFC2 player there against Rusnak or whoever,
Jeez.
or Rothrock, might as well have no choice but to put Ocampo on that side.
It's going to be it's going to be an interesting game. Let's put it that way.
Interesting lineup, and Seattle's going to come out hungry after losing to Minnesota at home.
Yeah.
So that just makes things worse.
Especially because I put a bit of distance between the two of them in the standings.
Yeah, and Seattle, they always turn up for derby days. They hardly ever get blown out.
Yeah. No, it's very true.
Oh, it's going to be interesting with that lineup and the game. Getting a draw would be, it'd be like a win, honestly.
You know what? Honestly, yeah, I would take it too. Speaking of Seattle, their previous match, they wore shirts during the warm-up that said Club World Cup Cash Grab.
Yep.
The belief is that they don't believe MLS is allocating a fair percentage of the Club World Cup prize money to the players.
Yeah.
And if I remember right, it was every player was wearing this.
Yeah, pretty much every player was wearing this. And then their owner, Adrian Hannister, literally went into the locker room and just gave it to them for wearing those shirts.
So I don't know. I don't understand the owner doing that.
Me neither.
But I mean, we know MLS keeps their hands in that sort of stuff anyway. I mean, when a player is transferred by a team outside of the league, MLS keeps a percentage of it too, right? So that's what you get with a franchise-based model. It sucks, but welcome to North American sport.
Yeah, then the MLS Players Association released a statement before the game about standing with players and all that MLS has failed to bring a forward reasonable proposal. And then the league office has had regular discussions with MLSPA over the last few weeks about this whole thing, and disagrees with the assertion that the CBA agreement is out of a date.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, Hanover reportedly, according to Sounder at Heart, used much more direct language and insinuated that players had disrespected both him and the organization. But it feels like the league is disrespecting the players.
My one thing is I'm happy that if they decided to do this, that the players were united.
Oh, they were.
Because by them standing together, it gives them a leg to stand on. And I don't know. I'm knowing how MLS acts and behaves. I don't think they're entirely in the wrong.
Yeah. And this whole Club World Cup thing, I mean,
this version of the Club World Cup is just, it's a write-off. I mean, the fact that you expanded the Club World Cup, but you didn't expand the tournaments to get into it. So you're having these weird one-off little tournaments of teams you're just throwing in because of stature. This entire Club World Cup, at least for this year, is worthless.
It does feel like a cash grab.
It is. And it's in terms of, yes, you're going to get prize money for whatever you get, and that prize money is valuable in terms of what you can do with it later on. But in terms of winning this tournament and what this tournament means, it means nothing.
Yeah, other than getting the World Champions badge on your shirt for 4 years, doesn't really mean much.
They changed the tournament to try to get more teams in, and then forgot to figure out how to put the teams in.
Yeah, and they just randomly, let's invite Inter Miami in, even though
right. I mean, they might as well have just taken one of those carnival spinning things and just gave it a whirl to see who's going to get in, right?
Yeah, and then there's the whole thing with the Mexicans teams being like they can't allow the same ownership group, so it's either Club America or LAFC who gets in.
Well,
LAFC gets in.
We talk about next year's Champions League and UEFA and what's going on with Crystal Palace.
Yeah, the Europa League, and
they're going through a similar problem.
Yeah, so Seattle, LAFC, and Miami are the only MLS teams in the Club World Cup that's taking place in the United States. And this tournament's great in theory, but in practice, it just feels so money grabby.
It could be a good tournament if it was structured properly. If you actually saw the progression on how to get into the tournament. But when you open up the number of spots, but you don't open up the spots for entrance, right? Like you don't change this tournament gets you a spot into it, but we're not increasing how many qualify. Now we have to have this one-off tournament because we have an extra spot that nobody has taken. That's where it starts to lose its respect, right? Like the fact that we had to have this game between LAFC and Club America. No,
they had to play.
It's just stupid.
They had to play a game in the turn to get in, while Inter Miami were just handpicked by FIFA.
Yeah,
to get in.
Yeah, and that too, right? Like the fact that you're handpicking a team not because of what the team's done, but because of who is on it. Right? Now they're trying to do the same thing with influencing a sale of Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah, and given the European teams have just ended their season, and then they get into this tournament, and then a few weeks later have to do preseason, more fixture congestion.
Yeah. Well, not only that, take a look at Man United. That 3 days after the season ended, they were in Asia playing games.
Yeah, and lost to Malaysian All-Stars or whatever.
Yeah. And then they had a second game in Hong Kong that they won, barely.
Yeah. Hey, won a trophy. Ooh, it's something. But
it's the Tottenham players saying that they won the Audi Cup last.
That's the thing. But yeah, Sounders players, I don't blame them for wearing those shirts.
No, I don't either. They're going to get money. I know the team gets a guaranteed amount of money, but the fact that the league is taking something like that, which happens nowhere else, doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. And other MLS news. LA Galaxy have won a game. Lord, it's a miracle. A 2-0 win at home against Real Salt Lake, who have been struggling. First, they blow a 2-0 lead against Vancouver, and now this. They let the Galaxy win.
Yeah. You know what? It was one of those games that even though it was 2-0, 85 minutes done, you were still expecting something to happen because
Yep.
RSL pummeled the Galaxy in terms of shot attempts.
Yeah, 19-9.
Yeah.
But LA Galaxy had more shots on target.
Yeah.
By 1 4.
Good on them. I think this tie them for the record of longest losing streak, or did they go one over?
Don't remember.
I know they beat the streak for starting a season losing streak, but in terms of a losing streak at any time in the season, I think they tied it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I'm wondering now, and it was funny if you watched MLS 360. Is they're having the debate on whether or not will the Galaxy now go on a run? Can they actually make the playoffs? And given the fact that what was it, something like 60% of teams make the playoffs, you gotta wonder.
It's not out of the realm of possibility.
It's not. I think was it Sasha
Gletchen, yeah.
It was saying that he'd shave his head if it happens or something like that.
Yeah. Hey, remember the Whitecaps were dead last in the West in August?
And that was it. And that was in August.
Yeah, and then they made the playoffs.
Yeah. Danny Sartini.
Only 2 games on the way. And I mean, even if they don't make the playoffs, if this starts some kind of run, it just makes them at least respectable for the Galaxy.
You know, I would not be surprised if they get one of like that 8th, 9th play-ins.
Yeah, and given the play-ins now, it's possible.
It would not surprise me in the least.
Me neither.
Yeah. So, you know what? I hope they do. I hope they do. You know, they're the defending champion. You hope that your defending champion has a run in the playoffs.
Yep.
Here's hoping.
Here's hoping for the Galaxy. So back to Canada. The women's national team played 2 friendlies against Haiti as part of Darren Zare-Scott, aka the Destroyers' farewell from the international stage. Pretty well taken wins over Haiti, 4-1 in Scott's hometown of Winnipeg. Leon with a brace like within 2 minutes inside the first 10.
Yeah.
Pretty. And then
Zadorski the 50th, Smith.
Nice volley, and Smith stoppage time. They did give up 1 goal, but other than that, one-way traffic in Winnipeg. And no.
I don't think you should be surprised by this result.
Yep.
Take a look at the competition you're playing against. I mean, Haiti, obviously, they have a smaller talent of players to choose from. But it's nice to see Canada get these games. And also it gives Stoney more time to figure out her team when they actually do start playing competitive matches.
Yeah, it's been a mixture of like newcomers and like regulars in these games. And there's a 3-1 win in Montreal. A good first half. Evelyn Viens getting 2. And Vancouver rises Holly Ward with the header in the 23rd minute.
Good for her. Good for her.
That is first great. International goal.
Yeah.
And I love the way that goal was built up. Like all that possession, great build up, great control. And then they find Ward with a header.
And if I am correct, was that Holly Ward's second cap or third?
I believe
cap?
So. Second or
I think
third.
It was her second because I think she had 1 before, and now this was her second. So good for her.
Yeah, really good for her. Though the second half, it was kind of weary. Yeah. But other than that, a good win. Though, yeah, as I said, they lost their rhythm the second half, but 2 good wins for the Canadians. And, Casey Stoney's like possession-based system, it's really starting to settle in for them. And like you got names like Holly Ward being on the radar more often and ushering in like a newer generation of Canadian women. into the setup.
You know what it does make you wonder though is it's the same thing when the CPL first started, and you're like, it's great that there is a Canadian league. It's great that there's a place for professional Canadians. What the CPL did, and now the NSL. But now it's going to make you wonder: is like, what does everyone else think about this? What are all these other leagues? You know, the NWSL in the States, all the different leagues in Europe. Are they now looking at players like a Hollywood, right?
Yep. And I should mention that in the first game, the 4-1 win, Janine Sonis, the fullback who plays for Racing Louisville FC in the NWSL, 4 assists, all assisted on every goal.
Yeah, isn't that insane?
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know where the attack was coming from there.
um, American born, but represents Canada.
Through parents or
through her parents, I believe.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, born in Colorado to Canadian parents, and she's not a name that you see often, though she has played. You know, she was part of the squad in the past 2 Olympics, past 3 actually.
Oh wow, she's actually been around for quite a bit.
Yeah, she's been around for quite a bit, but she's not she's not a starter. I'll say that. She's often.
Well, she made a case for herself.
Yeah, but it's nice for her to be on the radar, like someone who hasn't really got too much attention, even though she's been on the team for many years. Starts to, make herself known. So, good window for the women's team, and farewell.
A good farewell for Desiree Scott.
And she will continue the rest of her career with the Ottawa Raptors.
Yeah. Let's move got the silly season.
And my club continues to be silly. So, a lot of happiness yesterday because Chelsea were reportedly going hard after AC Milan goalkeeper Mike Maignan, one of the best goalkeepers in the world, number 1 for the French national team.
And I think he's only got a year left in his contract.
He does have a year left on his contract. He's about to turn 30 as well. Ball-playing goalkeeper, excellent shot stopper, has injury issues, but again, one of the best in the world. And apparently, it was reported yesterday, he would reportedly go only for 20 to 25 million pounds. For one of the best goalkeepers in the world, that's a steal. You do that any day of the week.
You know what? I'm not surprised about that, being that he only has a year left in his contract. There's not a lot of the value in that is not as big. Injury problems might play a role in that as well. He has goalkeeper 30. He still has a number of years, right?
Yeah, and AC Milan are in the Champions League next year, so that also played a factor. I mean, you do that any day of the week, right? But no. Apparently, as of this morning, Chelsea only value him at 8 million pounds. Which is just dumb because
that makes sense.
This is one of the best goalkeepers in the world. And
we value him at 8 million. That's what you pay for a youth player that you don't know anything about.
Yeah, they paid Liam Delap's 30 million pound release clause, but they can't pay 25 million for one of the best goalkeepers out there. What is wrong with this lot? Like, seriously. And now I'm seeing reports that they're happy with Sanchez and don't want to force him out, which is just insane because given there were rumors for months that he would leave. And then they're like, oh, maybe we're not in rush to find a new goalkeeper. We'll wait until Monday to make a decision. Then why are you going after Maignan in the first place? If you're not in a rush to find a new goalkeeper. I don't get it. Like, what is wrong with these guys? 25 million for a world-class goalkeeper. What are you doing? Yeah. And apparently he wants to come to Chelsea. And he's exactly what they need. And Maresca wants him. Apparently. I don't even know what to say. What's wrong with you? Get your head in the game.
When it comes to transfer policy in Chelsea, it hasn't made a lot of sense for a number of years.
It makes, yeah, they could spend 50, 60, 30, 40 million on some 17-year-old from Brazil.
Yeah, exactly right.
I don't get, like, Bedotic Bali, Todd Bowley, Paul Winstanley, Lawrence Stewart. What is wrong with you guys? Seriously. I guess this is what happens when you hire sporting directors from Monaco and Brighton. Say what you want about Marina Granovskaya, the previous sporting director. She's made a lot of mistakes, but she would have signed Magnon in a heartbeat. Like, the deal would have been done by now. So, do you want a goalkeeper or not? Because you have 8 of them, and none of them are good. So, make a decision. Either stick with Petrovic, or apparently AC Milan want him. You could sell Petrovic to sign Magnon for that much, or just walk away and continue with the status quo. And apparently, given Chelsea want to find value in the summer, I mean, it seems like they're weary about the Eintracht Frankfurt striker, Hugo Ekitike. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Because they Frankfurt value him at 80 million euros, which I think is too much for an unproven striker who had 15 goals last year. I will be really pissed if they manage to pay the 80 million euros for Ekitike, but not go for Osman or Gyökeres.
You know what's weird is it seems like no one is going for Gyökeres right now.
I think wages too are playing a big factor.
Maybe, but it's not like a transfer fee for him really breaks the bank, right?
Yeah, I really think it's wage. It's been reported that it's wages.
Okay.
He wants Osman money. I mean, he deserves it, but teams want to protect the wage structure. Chelsea's one of them.
Well, fair enough. You're going to keep playing in Portugal. Enjoy.
Yeah, keep balling out there. And speaking of the wage structure, that's the reason why Chelsea paid the £5 million to send Jadon Sancho back to the Shadow Realm, aka Manchester United. Because apparently, I don't know if this is true or not, but there are reports that Sancho wants to match his United salary with $300K a week.
No.
And the team was like, nope, goodbye.
You're lucky to get half that.
Apparently, Cole Palmer only makes $130K a week.
Yeah.
Put that in perspective. So, if Sancho said, okay, I'll just take $100K a week, $120K a week, he'd be here.
Sancho, at some point, and I don't know when, it could be this transfer window, it could be in 1 or 2, he'll be back in Germany.
That's what he wanted.
Yeah.
But there's rumors that he can go to the Saudi Pro League. And even the
or that, yeah. I guess with the wages he wants, that's definitely a possibility.
Aston Villa also has been a name mentioned by the bookies, and the bookies have also put the odds for MLS.
Now
that would be tragic.
Going for him, I can't see Aston Villa.
No, I can't.
They're too smart for that.
If he goes, if Sancho somehow ends up in MLS, that would be so tragic. At his age.
Unai Emery builds great teams, but Sancho's not a team player.
No, too inconsistent. Had attitude issues in the past. Wasn't a problem at Chelsea when it comes to attitude issues, but too inconsistent.
Yeah, I can't see that.
So I don't know where he goes.
I'd be floored if that happens.
And good luck to him, though. Apparently, he was well liked in the dressing room and was a mentor to the academy players coming in. And he gave a good message on Instagram saying goodbye and good luck. Well, so all the best to Sancho wherever he goes. And speaking of Dortmund and wingers, they're pushing for this English winger named Jamie Gittins, 20 years old. Modern touchline winger, good at driving into the box and creating and shooting. Has potential, of course. You know, they like high potential players.
They all have
first bid is 30 million apparently, but Dortmund value him around 60 million. So I guess so much for trying to find value. And I'll be really ticked off if they spend over 30 million, 40 million, 50 million, but don't sign Magnon for 2025.
Doesn't that just sound like a Chelsea thing to do?
Yeah, it sounds like a Clear Lake thing to do.
Yeah.
And apparently Magnon's age plays a factor. So what? He's nearly 30.
He's a goalkeeper.
And by the way, goalkeepers age
Hugo
differently.
Lloris was captaining a World Cup winning side in his 30s.
And Magnon is, I believe, he is the number one goalkeeper in France. I don't know if he's the captain though.
At this point, he'd definitely be the number one goalkeeper because Lloris is retired.
Yeah, and goalkeepers in football age differently.
They do, yeah.
The best goalkeepers in the world are in their 30s, all black. Courtois, Emi Martinez, to name a few. Neuer reached his peak in his early to mid 30s.
Yeah.
So I really don't know what this club is doing.
I don't think I hate to say it, but there's so much of what they do where I don't know if they understand the sport.
Yeah, I don't think Bedotic Bali understands the sport.
Right? There's too many things that are brought into question.
And any day now, Liam Delap's announcement should be, should happen.
Yeah, what's holding that up?
I have no idea. Apparently, he's completed his medical.
All right.
No problems there, so I don't know. And speaking of, there are a bunch of players on the sell list or loan list. And Cuckoo, obviously, Chilwell, Sterling, possibly Sanchez, depending on Magnon. Disasi, Dewsbury Hall, Wesley Fofana due to his injury problems. Nani Madueke, also an interesting name to be on the sell list, depending on what they do with winger. Nicholas Jackson, since that they're bringing in another striker. Carney Shukumaweka, Rodi Petrovic, as I mentioned. Nato Veka, which I don't want to.
What have you guys done with Nkunku?
He's pretty much going to leave.
Yeah, because I know Spurs apparently were kicking the tires on him.
Yeah, Bayern too, and Trevor Chalobah, which shouldn't happen. Right. Trevor Chalobah should be the ones that should stay, and Joao Felix, which I still don't understand his transfer. Bring him in for 30 million, sign him on a 7-year contract, barely play him, send him out on loan to AC Milan. Now you want to sell him? Great business, great squad building.
Yeah.
And again, I don't rate this player that much, but still feel bad for him. Benfica won him. His boyhood club, Benfica, won him on loan. But Chelsea don't want to loan him out again. And they want 30 million euros plus add-ons.
You know what he's turning into? He's turning to your version of Brian Heel.
Yes.
Right?
Pretty much.
But that's what you do. You just loan him to Spain. He does phenomenal in Spain. And then you just decide to sell him anyway.
Well, we loaned him to AC Milan. Didn't do too well there.
Oh, well, there you go.
And neither did AC Milan as a whole. This team, this squad building, really. I don't know what this club is doing, and it's silly season. They get the fans' hopes up with the Magnon links, and then they just crush it with, nah, we don't want to pay 20 to 25 million. We just want to pay 8 because we want to find value this summer.
8 is ridiculous for him. Even if they decided they were going to undercut it and do 15, I'd be like, okay, I see where you're starting from. 8 is kind of just
8 is taking the piss.
Yeah, it's
not
being serious. It's not being serious.
If I were AC Milan, I'd be insulted.
Yeah. 8 is what you pay for your third string goalkeeper. That you're going, who?
Yeah. 8 is what you pay for, some unknown goalkeeper. But this is some unknown. This is one of the best. So that's Chelsea's silly season. Tottenham, some stuff is happening there too.
So a few things. Kevin Danso has now been signed permanently from Lens. £21 million deal. Again, it was the purchase option as part of the loan. Center back, you know what? Done decently well since he's come here. He's basically taken that third in the center back depth from Dragusin. So when I said I wanted them to sign a center back, okay, it's done. I'm still a little bit concerned about that area just because Van de Ven and Cristiano Romero and the injuries that those two seem to get always. I almost feel like I want someone else that can go there. I guess I know that they do have some youth in the pipeline that might be able to fill in spots there too. So it'll be interesting to see. But a number of players have left the club now. So Fraser Forster, backup
that guy's
goalkeeper,
been around forever.
He was basically relegated to the third string after they signed the one goalkeeper from Prague in the January transfer window when Vicario was injured. So Forster's gone. Sergio Reguilon, when he came into the club, I had high hopes for him. Like he came in, he kind of burst onto the scene. Real Madrid was apparently interested in him because they had the buyback clause from when they had gotten him. But I think he played one game over the past year.
Yeah.
Right. Udogi,
and he was sent out on loan
that's
not
his
too long
position,
ago, too.
so it's done. Alfie Whiteman, he's an academy graduate. He only ever played one game for the starting team. He's gone. My guess is he's going to have a good career. I don't know if it'll be Premier League or if he goes Championship, looks elsewhere in Europe, but all the best to Alfie. Timo Werner, who I swear to God I forgot was with Tottenham.
So did I.
I completely forgot.
Take his Europa League medal.
So, yep. So long, and thanks for all the fish.
There really wasn't any fish.
Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, who had been out on loan with Marseille. That loan has now been made permanent. 17 million pound, roughly, deal. Kind of offsets the Danso deal, give or take a few million. So that one is done. Højbjerg is a player that I love to watch. I hope that he has all the best happen to him now in France and continues to have a career there. We are still waiting to hear on what's going to happen with Mattis Tell. Came out on loan in January. There is...
seems like he wants to stay there.
It seems like he does. There is a buy clause as part of the deal. I believe it's about around 45 million pounds. Okay. Tottenham would like to keep him, but they'd like to renegotiate that fee. They don't want to pay 45. My guess is they would like it to be somewhere around the 30 mark. We'll have to wait and see because Bayern Munich is holding out for the full deal. Other than that, there was some new, not a new signing, but it was a signing that was done back in April. But Vinay Ventatesham, I'm sorry,
that's how you say it.
Completely butchering that name, but he has now started his tenure as of Monday as the brand new CEO of Spurs. Most recently had been the CEO at Arsenal. He had taken some time off, was, trying to, I guess kind of recharge his battery sort of thing. And he has now come up. Before this, he had been involved with the London 2012 Olympic and Paralympic Games. He's a non-executive director as part of the British Olympic Association. And he's been involved with club football on the European side before that as well. So he is now back. He's refreshed. He's joining up with Tottenham, moving to the other side of North London, and we'll see what happens with that. And, we're still talking about players and all that, but we're still waiting for the biggest question mark is what's going to go on with Ange Postecoglou. We have been told that there will be a decision next week. We were told last week it was going to be this week. Either he's staying or he's going. Like, I don't understand what's taking so much.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. Thought they'd come to a decision by now.
The reason why I think it's taking so long is because, and we haven't heard anything, but I believe they're really, really trying to get Fabrizio Paratici into the club and then say, this is your first decision. I think everything hinges on whether or not they can get Paratici to take over as sporting director, the position that he held before his 30-month ban had kicked in. They want to bring him in. I know he's had interest from elsewhere. We're just waiting to see. But I think a decision, yes or no, needs to be made there first before a decision is made on Postecoglou. And right now, that decision is not Tottenham's, it's Paratici's.
Yep.
So we wait.
Wait and see.
Other than that, even though there is still waiting, the deal to sign Angel Gomez from Lille has been progressing. It's taking a little bit of time, but we know that Gomez has said no to other clubs while this deal is moving forth. So he wants Tottenham. It's just a matter of getting it done. It's a free transfer, so this is only being done with the player. It is an important deal. They're taking their time. I'm happy that they're progressing with this and not waiting for the whole manager fiasco to be finished first. This is one they need to get done. Other than that, only two other bits of information. Lots of interest from Son Heung-min from Saudi Arabia. We know that Son had interest from Saudi Arabia last year. He said, no, I want to win a trophy with Tottenham. I owe it to the club. He's now done that. Yeah. So as much as Son is a part of the fabric of this club, I wouldn't be surprised if he now decides to move on. He's 32, heading into 33 years old. He might decide, I'm going to take a payday before I ride off into the sun. And I don't think anyone could begrudge him that.
No one can blame him. He's done all he did.
Personally, it would hurt me. I have loved watching this player for years. He is the player that I think really, really got me to watch this club over the past 8, 9, 10 years. It would be very, very sad to see him go. But the fact that he stayed around because he wanted something, he wanted to leave this club with something, I can't begrudge him if he decides to leave.
I mean, he's done what he can. He accomplished the mission of winning a trophy.
Yep.
If he leaves, you just give him a so long farewell, a salute.
You wish him all the best. And you tell him that if he ever wants to come back in some other capacity, that door is open. So, although I have a feeling that when Son retires, he is going to have offers throughout the entirety of Asia for whatever he wants to do. Whatever he wants to do. Other news, and this is one, it's another one where I'm like, where I say good for you. Ryan Mason.
Yep.
Tottenham player up until the age of 25.
When Gary Cahill ended his career.
Head-on-head collision. Cahill came out the better of it. Ryan Mason ended up with a cracked skull. Took a year to recover. Was still waiting, and even up until about a week before he retired, the hope is that he would always get to play again. And doctors basically just said, "No, you can't do this. You're it's a lottery ticket with your life at that point." Retired, joined the coaching staff, has been caretaker manager of Tottenham on a couple of occasions with the manager merry-go-round that's happened, and has, done reasonably well. He has now taken his first full-time head coaching job. He is moving to the championship with West Brom. It's a gamble for him. Yeah. West Brom is a team that it's got a little bit of trouble, but I am happy for Ryan Mason to get the reins of his own club. He deserves it. I wish him nothing but the best.
Nothing but the best. Yep.
So we're waiting. Player signings are moving slowly, but right now it's yes or no about Fabrizio Paratici.
Yeah, in terms of player signings, this is like the window before the Club World Cup also. So this is like a mini window.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
All right, so Champions League, not only with the CONCACAF Champions Cup final 5-0 result, the UEFA Champions League final was a 5-0 result as well. Honestly, one of the more disappointing finals in recent memory. I thought it would be close. PSG destroys Inter Milan 5-0.
Yeah. and they now become the second French club to have won the Champions League, or the European Cup, as it was called back when Olympique de Marseille won in '93.
Marseille, yep. And Marseille fans are in shambles because of PSG winning a Champions League. Like
You
from the
knew it was going to happen at some point. The fact that it happened now and not when they had
all those
the
big names,
Messi's, the Mbappe's. You know what? Good job on Luis Enrique.
yeah, and that wholesome tifo at the end, and he's wearing the shirt paying tribute to his late daughter.
Yeah,
Brings a tear to your eye.
it does. It does.
And it's just really funny how the year after Mbappe leaves, PSG win the Champions League.
Yeah. To his credit, Mbappe did put out a message to PSG and to fans, and it was very warm. I would say it felt genuine. It felt genuine. He may not have left the club on the greatest of terms, but that is still his club.
Yeah, and it was a weird start to the game. Like PSG just shot the ball out of bounds in the kickoff. I think that might have been some kind of strange dark arts thing.
I don't know. I missed the first little bit of the game. I think when I came in, it was right after the first goal. So
yeah, Hakimi, great ball movement and great shot by Hakimi. Desiree Doué, 2 goals. This kid.
This is a player that
just turned 20 years old, by the way, like yesterday.
In last year's summer transfer window, had visited Tottenham. Tottenham was going to sign him. He had visited the facilities. He had taken a look at everything. Everything was about to get done, and PSG came in.
He only wanted PSG once PSG came in. Chelsea were after him too. But
so, you know what? You got to say for him, he made the right choice.
Yeah, and like this kid's going to get better.
Yeah.
Like credible dribbling. Well taken both goals. Cavachia also just speeding through the Inter Milan defenders, 73-minute goal. And then just felt there's a joke that PSG subbed in some random fan. Sani Mayulu made it 5, and Inter Milan. What was that?
Yeah.
For a team that's very defensive, defense went out the window. Nope.
Yeah.
They struggled to move the ball up the pitch. Gave the ball over so many times. Gave the ball away so many times, rather. Looked lost, looked disoriented, didn't look ready. Sounds familiar.
It does. And you take a look, again, a one-sided slaughter. 23 shot attempts to 8. Hey, good on Inter Milan for having a shot.
Yeah, the Whitecaps didn't have a shot.
Yeah. So how many finals have Inter Milan been in the last few years?
This is 2 finals out of 3 years.
Yeah.
In the Champions League they lost. And they gifted both the teams they faced their first Champions League.
Yeah.
And it was like Inter Milan will fall out of this. Their manager, Simone Inzaghi, is off to the Saudi Pro League.
Yeah, so that was always going to happen. We knew that this was his last game. It was by mutual consent. He was looking to leave and, just try something new. But to go to the Saudi Pro League, I don't know.
Yeah. Wonder who'll step in.
Apparently, they're looking at the manager of Como, Cesc Fabregas.
Cesc Fabregas.
That's the rumor I'm hearing.
And yeah, good on PSG. As I said on social media, they didn't need the superstars. They were a collective.
Yep.
No egos, no individualism. Guys like Dembele, who was an outcast at Barcelona, has become a star.
And you just wonder how far that star is going to rise.
I think if I had to pick a Ballon d'Or winner, it's him.
Right now?
Yeah.
Man, his name has got to be up there within. If you have a short list of 5, he's in there.
Golden boy too for Doué.
Yeah.
And good credit to Marquinhos. He's the only player remaining from the 2020 Champions League loss. He stayed, faced a lot of scrutiny, and has finally won a Champions League.
Yeah.
PSG are the best team in the world. right now. Great players. No Messi, no Neymar, no Mbappe. Well deserved Champions League victory. And of course, Paris just went crazy. Not even before the game was over. There were riots, looting, and all that. The French Snapchat videos were generational. Uh, and for any tourists in Paris, I hope you stayed safe through that. I hope you knew at least what was going on.
Yeah, yeah.
So, well, fully congrats to PSG. They had their parade somehow the day after on the Champs Elysees.
You win that trophy, you know you're going to get it done. The city will come around.
Yeah, and even after all the craziness that happened the night before.
Yeah. And it's
So,
kind of funny because with all that craziness the night before, like for as bad as it was, the police actually came out and said, "Oh, it's not as bad as we expected it to be."
I mean, Paris,
I mean, people
no matter
died.
what, rioting is a national sport in France.
So is overthrowing governments, their own.
Yeah, I mean, given if you know your history, the French Revolution, the storming of the Bastille, and all that.
Fifth Republic.
Yep, that I guess it's in the French DNA to go crazy, and football was just the excuse.
Whatever works, right?
Yeah. So, congrats to PSG once again. So that'll conclude this week's episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Tell us what we're right. Tell us what we're doing wrong. Hopefully, we'll have better. We'll get back on track to talking about happier Whitecap stuff. And oh yeah, this first few minutes was tough. And I also haven't published it yet, but I will soon after. My player ratings for the mid-season article.
Cool.
And check out all the rest of the articles of the Area 51 Sports Network by me, Nathan, and everyone else. And especially with the Junior Hockey Memorial Cup, including and the Stanley Cup Final begins today. Oilers Panthers 2.0, the rematch. And I will say this: I think the Oilers get it done this time.
From your mouth, I hope.
It's Oilers in 7, but that all depends on if the team can continue.
It's going to be 6 or 7. It'll be 6 or 7. That's without a doubt. That's for sure.
The team has done a good job of not just solely relying on McDavid and Draisaitl. Like you get guys like Connor Brown scoring,
and he's back healthy, which I'm happy.
Yeah, and you got defense scoring like Evan Bouchard. And I don't get Stuart.
Every single one of their forwards has at least a goal.
I don't get Stuart Skinner. He's either like Swiss cheese or Dominic Hasek.
I said this to someone else. He is the. You see it in other sports. What confidence does. He is the most confidence-based player in hockey that I've ever seen.
I guess that's just it.
Right? When he believes that he can do it, he is unstoppable.
Yeah.
If a bad goal goes in, or there's something that happens that just gets under him, he falls apart. Right?
I think that will play a factor on the series too.
It's going to be an interesting one. For the most part, they're healthy. Hyman, obviously, is out for the rest of the season. He penned a very nice letter to fans that went out, I think, over the weekend. So there's that. Yeah, I know where.
I mean, Florida is still Florida.
Florida's still Florida. Yeah.
Edmonton this year, I think they're better than last year. I guess same could be said about Florida.
Well, I mean, take the Prince of Wales trophy and basically just plant it in Florida for the entirety of this decade, whether it's the Panthers or the Lightning.
And yeah, it's gonna be another classic, I believe. Oilers in 7.
Wait, let me put it this way: I just hope they don't start this series by going down 3-0.
Yeah,
right.
And then going to come
and
back.
then give me my hope back.
So. Yeah, and follow me on Twitter, JoshuaRay00, Nathan and Derek. Check out our Blue Sky as well. Podcast, Terminal City FC on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Terminal City FC Podcast on Instagram. Thanks to everyone who viewed the live feed on our YouTube and Area 51 Twitter. And thanks to everyone listening on the podcast platforms. So that'll conclude this week's episode. Enjoy the football, enjoy the hockey. Peace out.
Take care.